Hey, I'm Mac Morrison. JR Hildebrand, Panther Racing. How are you, man?
Not bad, dude.
Good,
Yeah,
good
good
to
to
see
be
you.
here. Yeah, for sure.
No big surprise, Detroit Grand Prix coming up. Talk to me a little bit about Detroit.
We're pumped to come back this year. It was the first year in a couple of years that we raced at Belle Isle last year. Obviously, with the pavement and all that kind of stuff coming up, there was a bit of a mess at the end of the race, and so I had a chance to go check out the track. I think they've laid like 100,000 square feet of new pavement, so we're pumped about that. They've changed the layout a little bit, so we get an extra straightaway, and it's obviously the first of the doubleheader event weekends that we've got going on. So that'll be a whole different ball of wax. It's going to be super physically tough on the drivers. It's going to be tough on the crew to just have to do all their standard race prep overnight between race 1 and race 2, even if you have a good race.
From a driver's standpoint, how much of a challenge do you think it's going to be, or maybe not as much as?
I don't think the mental challenge of dealing with 2 events is going to be really significant. I think the physical challenge of having to get ready for that second day is going to be tough. For us, as long as we'll be able to maintain hydration, eat right that night, it's not like we're going to be going out and having a beer afterwards anyway. So we've seen that our heart rates are getting up over 175 beats a minute for the majority of the road and street course races. So being able to take that, if you've got a 10-second straightaway, using that to get your body to come back down and come under your lactic threshold and be ready to go at it for another lap is a big piece of being there at the end.
The series has gotten so ultra competitive. I mean, you finished 5th in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the qualifying times in Long Beach, it was something like, it was ridiculous, right? It was like 7/10 of a second between first to, I want to say, 10th or 11th on the grid.
It puts you in a position where you're not looking for a 10th a corner. You're looking for a couple of hundredths in a few corners on the track, and that's just how competitive it is. So I think you've got that, along with the fact that some of the races that typically allowed for different strategies have been either lengthened or shortened to create situations where it's not a fuel strategy race, where you're pretty much everybody's going to be on 2 stops or 3 stops. You have to qualify well, you have to run up front, and it's basically flat out for the entire race because of that.
Who's the toughest guy to race against?
It'd be hard not to put that in Kanan's court, I think. He just races you hard every lap, every time. Pagano actually is a guy that races guys really hard. But there isn't anybody these days that stands out. Anybody can end up front, anytime. There's no guarantees of having a good car every weekend just because you're on one of the top teams.
The focus, I think, for everybody every year, if it's not just the championship, it's the 500. Yeah. And that's coming up. And I know you've been asked about what happened there 2 years ago 1,000 times. I mean, everybody knows you were in the lead, and it just didn't work out at the end.
Yeah.
Is it a case of now you go in there and go, even though we didn't actually win, we know we can win?
You'd seen guys that had come in second, and they're kind of like, people have mixed reactions to that. Some guys are pumped, some guys are frustrated. And you kind of sit there and go like, guys, you just finished second in the Indy 500. Right? That's kind of a big deal. And so I guess I would have expected that would have been my reaction. But, when it happens, it's just like, oh my God, we had a chance to win. You need to close the deal. That's what it's all about. And so I think, for me, going back to Indianapolis last year, going back again this year, what happened in 2011 really narrows my focus on we are showing up for one purpose, and that is to win the race. And that's it. Nothing else matters.
Catch all the latest auto enthusiast news at AutoWeek.com, and AutoWeek Magazine and iPad Edition. Talk with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at AutoWeek USA.